What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to another episode of my Prep Diary series. So for those of you who are new here, that is kind of the series that I'm taking you guys along through in my prep for a bodybuilding show. I have not been on stage since 2021. I took all of 2022 off to just build and grow, and here we are. So pretty deep into this prep series so far. I think this is episode 10. Don't quote me, but I'm just thinking out loud. So I want to kind of take you guys through the day, talk about some things, give you guys a prep update, and then also answer some questions that I actually got on an Instagram poll. Got a lot of questions asking about how do you deal with cravings in prep, how do you deal with low energy, all that. So I'm going to talk about those questions that I got, and just a few other random questions I got at some point in this video, because I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, wow, truthfully, I've been in prep since the beginning of December, and it's now April. So that's December, January, February, March, 4 months, and that I've been on prep, right? And my food's been super simple, and I feel like I've been managing it pretty decently. I honestly can sit here and say I'm not I'm not suffering in the sense of I mean, of course I have cravings every once in a while, and there are things that look good, but I'm not it's not overly challenging to say no to those things, if that makes sense. Yesterday I was somewhere in front of Crumble Cookies, and I was like, oh my God, those look great, but I know they're gonna be there for me after my show. But anywho, I digress. Welcome back to another video of mine. If you guys cannot tell, I'm a little sunburned. And I'm also very curious I think that's why my weight is up a little bit this morning, because actually yesterday I hit a new low weigh-in, a pretty significant one. And then today my weight was up about a pound. And so I'm wondering if my sunburn has a little bit to do with that. I know sometimes if you're sunburned, it can kind of, you're inflamed, a little bit more watery. So, but my weight is just jumps all the time. I'll be very honest. I am somebody, I know that about myself. My weight kind of a lot of times jumps overnight, either a pound up or a pound down. It's kind of weird, but that's why I weigh in every day, and at the end of every week when I check in with my coach, I give him all of my weights. That way we can take the average. But I'm getting ready to do some cardio. I've started work for the day. I have done some client check-ins. It is Easter Sunday today, but most of my family lives out of state, so it's kind of a normal day for me. But I'm doing some client check-ins, and then I'm going to hop on my Peloton bike for some cardio. My cardio is still only at 45 minutes, but I feel so energized today, so I'm probably gonna get in a lot of steps. And I tell my clients this too, but if you ever feel super energized and you're I want to do more cardio, it's almost like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're going off of the protocol. Even though it may seem oh my God, if I'm doing more cardio, that's better. But at the end of the day, your coach prescribes you something for a reason, right? So I always say if I feel a little bit extra energized, I'm just gonna get a lot more steps and just walk a lot more, maybe go on some outdoor walks. So we'll see how I feel, but I'm gonna start my day off with some cardio, and then I'll go back to my client check-ins, and then I'm going to touch on some Q&A questions that I got on my Instagram, and talk about just some other prep related stuff. So welcome to this video. This was a pretty long-winded intro, and I apologize, I'm a talker, but welcome to my video, and I will catch you guys in a little bit. Okay, you guys, so I don't think I've ever showed you guys post-cardio look. It's not glamorous. I just finished my 45 minutes. I'm still out of breath because I literally just ended the class, but I just did 45 minutes on my Peloton bike. Typically my cardio is at 45 minutes right now, and a lot of times I'll do 30 minutes on my Peloton, and then I'll do 15 minutes incline walking post-workout later in the day. But I mentioned earlier, I'm feeling pretty good today, very energized, and I think it has to do with the fact that yesterday was a complete rest day. So I am very, very sweaty. This, I don't know if you saw the color of this shirt before, but it is dark gray and it is soaked. But I did 45 minutes on my Peloton. I feel amazing. It's generally, it's steady state. I'm not doing any HIIT or anything. I make sure that my heart rate stays around 70-ish% of my max heart rate, but just finished that. I'm feeling good. Now I need to change because I'm disgusting, but I just wanted to show you guys post cardio. It does not look cute, and there's a reason I don't show you guys how I look post cardio, because I'm a sweaty, gross mess, literally still on the bike. But let me clean up and I'll chat with you guys in a bit. Okay, so changed all good to go. And also, little hack, so any of you athletes out there who are females and you do, let's say you're in prep and your cardio is substantially higher, typically like we sweat every day, right? But I don't know about you guys, I don't like to wash my hair every day. I'm not a hair guru or anything, but I just know as like a female, it's not great for our hair to just wash it every day. So what I do is I always use dry shampoo. So usually after I get done doing cardio, like eventually I'll take my hair down, I'll run some dry shampoo through it, and that kind of does the trick. But I typically wash my hair like every like third day typically is when I usually wash it, but I digress. So I get asked a lot, how do I curve my sweet tooth? So I wanted to show you guys one thing I am making post cardio that actually really helps with my sweet tooth. So I've shown you guys variations of this before on this channel, but it is my protein coffee or decaf cold brew. So what I have here, you just need a shaker cup. I've got my instant decaf coffee. So just the little instant granules, so easy. You just put it in the blender bottle with water and shake it, and it's pretty much coffee. And then I also add a little bit of almond milk because I always have almond milk in my coffee, just unsweetened vanilla almond milk, usually just like 1/4 of a cup to 1/2 a cup, so not much. And then I do a splash of this sugar-free coffee syrup. Salted caramel flavor is amazing. It has 0 calories, but I would say I use it in moderation. Like I'll just use a splash. And then I add my secret ingredients. So I do add some protein powder from PE Science. I've been really hooked on the Chocolate Bliss plant-based protein. It's actually really good when I shake it up in here with my cold brew. It's really good and like thick and chocolatey. Love it. And then if I have it, which I typically do, like if I have it in my house, I'll add some chocolate greens from PE Science. So I have been asked before, like people will ask me, what do I use the PE Science chocolate greens for? And a lot of times I add it to my decaf cold brew. So I will add all of that in a shaker bottle, shake it up. Sometimes I'll put it in the refrigerator and let it sit for like 20-30 minutes because it does get a little bit like thicker, not in a gross way, but like in a really like smooth way, kind of like how Nitro Brew is like really just like smooth, kind of gets that way if I let it sit in the refrigerator. But that is something that I do that really does help with my sweet tooth. It's just decaf coffee, and then adding, of course I do it post cardio, so I add a little bit of protein post cardio, and yeah, and it's delicious. And so that is what I'm going to make right now, and that is a little hack if you have a sweet tooth, and that is something that honestly really has been saving me. It's like a little treat that I look forward to every day. Okay, so I do want to touch real quickly on a couple of suit things. I figured I would just throw this into the video, but for those of you that don't know, full-time, I'm a coach, but I do work part-time for Angel Competition Bikinis, which is, in my opinion, the best suit company in the competitive space. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm thinking about for my suit. So now that my body is back to responding and like, hopefully I get on the stage sooner rather than later. Still no show dates yet, guys, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my suit. So I originally had 2 suits back in December. You guys can go back, and I think it was like maybe my first ever Prep Diaries video where I did a little unboxing and showed you guys 2 suits that I got for the fashion show at the Olympia for Angel Competition Bikinis. It's a fun little thing that they do. They do a ton of fashion shows, and there's going to be a lot this year as well. But anyways, I had 2 suits that I wore at that, and my original plan was I was just going to wear one of those this year for my like actual competition. However, I'm thinking there's a couple of minor details that I want to change specifically for me on the suit. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to change and what I'm going to do with my new suit. So I haven't necessarily picked out a color yet. I do have a couple of ideas, but in this suit, again, beautiful suit, amazing suit. There's nothing wrong with this, but sometimes I like to, I really want to get very detail oriented, and at the end of the day, sometimes these little minor details, especially the more competitive you get and the bigger shows you do, where the competition is steeper, these little details can really make a difference. So for me, one thing I have realized is I want to do a non-molded cup. So see how this suit is, it has a molded cup. So it's a little bit like it looks a certain way, you know, you can kind of see it looks a little different compared to This is obviously not like a glitzed out suit, but the regular cup. So I'm going to do the regular cup as opposed to the molded cup. Just a personal preference. I like the way the regular cup looks on me. I feel like the molded cup could be slightly distracting, just the way it fits me. Now, the other thing I'm going to change in my new suit that I get is I'm actually going to do on the back. So normally there's a string tie back, and that's what I've always worn before on stage. However, I want to actually just do a little clasp on the back rather than the string tie. Again, a very minor detail, and typically your hair covers the tie anyways. However, I know that in the past my hair sometimes doesn't cover the tie, so I'm gonna do a little clasp on the back just to keep it clean and simple. And then another thing I wanted to talk about really quickly, I think is really important, and a lot of girls don't realize this, is the back coverage for your bottoms. So I specifically am an athlete that always does the micro cut for my bottoms. Now, what I mean by the cut is how much fabric is laying around here in the back. So specifically why this is so important is if you get too much fabric or too little fabric, it can make your glutes not look as good as they truly do. For most NPC competitors, I recommend at least doing a pro cut. And if any of you guys watching have suit questions or want to talk about designing a suit with me, like I said, I do suit styling on the side for Angel Competition Bikinis, and I can help you out. But I want to talk about suit cuts on the bottom real quick, because if you are an NPC athlete and you're wearing, let's say, too much fabric around the glutes, it could potentially cover up your glutes and make your glutes not look full, not look conditioned, and it can make it hard for the judges to judge if they can't see what they need to see, right? Now, also, if you have too little coverage, that can also make your glutes look less conditioned than they are. So for some people, if they, let's say they have glutes that are bigger than 35 inches and they're wearing the micro cut, their glutes may look less conditioned because the cut is too small. So typically what I recommend is if you are an athlete that has 35-inch glutes or more and you are competing in the NPC, pro cut bottoms are going to be the best cut for you. However, if you are somebody with less than 35-inch glutes, so me, you can do the micro cut. So I do the micro cut, and again, this just refers to how much fabric is in the back. So if I were to wear the pro cut, not that anything would be wrong with that, but it may be just too much fabric for my glute, and it may potentially cover up what the judges need to see. So that's my little suit rant. Like I said, I am going to be changing my suit, so I don't know yet what color I'm going to do. I have a couple ideas, but I'm going to probably order that this week and talk with one of my friends at AC Bikinis and get her thoughts on it too. But yeah, that's just my little suit talk, and I wanted to throw that in this video at some point. Okay, my friends, so before I go and train, I'm going to show you guys a meal that I'm eating right now. It's a little on the lower fat side. I don't want a ton of fat right before I go and train because I feel like fat kind of sits in my stomach, but I am having, I will show you, my 2 Brazil nuts. If you're new here, you would know, or if you're not new here, you know I eat 2 Brazil nuts a day because 2 Brazil nuts a day contains, the RDA recommended amount of selenium that you need per day. And selenium is really great for thyroid health. And I have struggled with that in the past, so I eat 2 Brazil nuts a day. Now, what you see here, it's not pretty at all, but it's essentially an egg white pancake. So you can do this with whole eggs as well, but I just use the cartoned egg whites and I put them into the pan. I don't know if I want to touch it if it's hot. Oh, it kind of is. It's like a pancake. So I flip it and it's just like a pancake. So I don't know, kind of makes it, makes eating it a little bit funner than just like eating it like scrambled egg whites. And then I'm putting some salt on top because I always like to have a little bit of extra salt in my pre-workout meal. Salt and carbs really can help with getting a pump in the gym. And then of course I'm having rice cakes, but you guys. So first off, let me just explain why I like to have rice cakes before I train, because it is a quicker digesting carb source. So I want something that's going to be light on my stomach, but that's also going to be rich in carbs. That way, I can get a good pump, I have good strength, but I also don't want anything sitting in my stomach. So rice cakes work really well for me before I train as a carb source, but we have a huge dilemma. So My past videos, I have definitely told you guys I'm obsessed with the white cheddar rice cakes, and I have been to 3 stores within the past few days and none of them have had the white cheddar rice cakes. So I'm kind of fearful that there's like a shortage or something. So if you know where to find white cheddar rice cakes, let me know. I'm gonna have to do some more looking. But yeah, that's a dilemma. So we're just doing lightly salted, which they're not that great. I mean, it is what it is. They're fine. White cheddar is so much better. So gonna do some of these, and my little egg white pancake that I have with lots of salt. I also will probably put some nutritional yeast on top of this as well to flavor it. And if I had reduced sugar ketchup, I would put that on my egg whites as well, because I absolutely love reduced sugar ketchup on eggs, but I'm out of that, unfortunately. And then, of course, can't forget the little Brazil nuts, and please don't mind my nails. I need to paint them. But anywho, this is what I am having before I go train some legs. All right, you guys, so I wanted to wrap up this video and actually do a little Q&A. I got several questions on my Instagram just about just prep in general. I just put like a question box up and said, hey, any questions about prep, put them in the question box and I'll answer them in my next video. So also disclaimer, I don't think I said this already, I am on the floor. Yeah, this is a no judgment zone. I have no idea why I'm sitting down like this, but it works with my tripod right now. So anywho, let's talk about some of these questions. I'll just go through them rapid fire. So I had somebody ask if I had any recommendations on non-hormonal birth control during prep, or is it better to be completely off? So I don't have a ton of insight on this. I was on hormonal birth control for 6 years. I've done all of my previous preps on it. I've never had an issue. I'm actually off of it now. About 2 months ago, I went off of it completely. So this will be the first prep I've done it without hormonal birth control. I personally haven't really noticed any differences. So I don't have a ton of insight there. Like I said, I personally have never noticed a difference now that I've been off of it on prep, but I've also used it on prep before too. Okay, next question is, do you stop dairy or gluten when you are a few weeks out? So this is going to be very person dependent. For me right now, I am very much so limiting my dairy and my gluten consumption, more so because as I overcame my gut issues, I was really trying to minimize any inflammatory foods. And sometimes gluten and dairy can be a little, like, you know, they can cause a little bit more inflammation for people. And actually, fun fact, more people are intolerant to dairy than people who can actually tolerate it. So I wouldn't sit here and say everybody has to cut out gluten and dairy. You know, I think everybody has different tolerances. Some people can tolerate dairy and gluten just fine, but I would say yes, typically for all of my clients and my athletes, at least on peak week, we will completely take out their dairy and their gluten. But hey, if it works for them, up until that point, I have no issues with people keeping it in. Like I said, it's kind of just dependent on the person. Not everybody is intolerant to dairy, just like not everybody is intolerant to gluten either. So universally, I wouldn't say everybody has to cut it out on prep. Somebody asked, how do you overcome the scale going up when prep starts? So I would say, like I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, my weight fluctuates a lot. I am somebody, and I just know that about myself. And that's why I think that, you know, especially in prep, you need to be taking your weight daily. If you're only taking your weight once a week, twice a week, like that is just less data that you have to go off of. So I think what you always have to remind yourself of is if your weight kind of fluctuates up, like today, my weight was up a pound. I hit a brand new low yesterday. Today it's up a pound, but I know that like, hey, yesterday I did everything I needed to do. And I think that that's what you have to remind yourself. If you wake up and you see your weight go up and it's kind of like frustrating, you have to sit back and ask yourself, did you do everything you had control over the day before? Did you hit your macros? Did you get good sleep? Did you manage your stress? Did you, do your cardio, like all that stuff? And then at the end of the day, if the answer is yes, you have to just realize your weight is probably just fluctuating for a random reason. I mean, it could be as simple as you ate a little bit later at night, so therefore you wake up in the morning and you still have food in your system. Or, you know, it could be as simple as you didn't go to the bathroom before you weighed in, right? So that's how I kind of cope with like fluctuations on the scale. It's just always reminding myself, okay, did I control everything I had control over yesterday? And if the answer is yes, then I'm like, all right, this too shall pass. And that's why I take daily weigh-ins. And that's also why as a coach, I always pay more attention to the weekly trend. So I always look at my clients' average among 7 days, not just one data point. Okay, I like this question. This comes from my girl, Ariel. If you're watching, hello. She says, hopes and goals for this season. So my hopes and goals for this competition season, I would really just want to compete as much as I can. Obviously, my hopes, like I would love to win not only first in my height class, but I would love to win an overall. That would be amazing. I've never won an overall and I would love to absolutely do that. But you know, you can never control who shows up, but that would be my absolute goal. And then that is one of my goals. And then my other goal is I just want to bring an improved package this time around. So I posted my posing video earlier in this video. So I'm going to do like a little side-by-side of what I look like now compared to my last prep. And you know, obviously I'm still not stage lean, but I'm just very, very curious and hopeful that I look a lot denser muscle-wise. I still have a good amount of, you know, to come in my glutes. I still need to lean out a lot there, but that's always the part where I get leanest, I get lean the last on that part of myself. So I would love to win an overall. I would love to just bring an improved package. And thirdly, I would love to compete in at least one national show and like potentially, you know, earn a pro card. That would be my absolute goal. I absolutely want to be a pro one day. So cardio routine, I did kind of address that earlier in this video. I talked a little bit about how I do my cardio and split it up, so I'll save the answer to that since I talked about it earlier. What are you most excited for in this prep? I am just so excited to get on stage again. Seriously, I feel like I knew a lot in 2021 last time I competed, but the amount that I have learned since then is like crazy. I have learned so much as an athlete, so much as a coach. I'm just so excited to get on stage again, seriously, you know, with my new package. I think that's what, and honestly, getting on stage is going to be so important to me because I have gone through so much in this prep, and so I'll be on stage and knowing just how much I've gone through in this prep to get on stage is going to be so humbling and rewarding. Okay, last two questions. Usual foods on show day. So my foods that I have on show day are typically pretty simple. It kind of depends what my coach tells me, but lots of caramel rice cakes. I did lots of caramel rice cakes my last prep on show day. Usually rice or cream of rice, just easy to digest carbs that are low in fiber that won't make me bloat. And then usually like chicken, egg whites, peanut butter, nut butter is a big one. Those are typically kind of my normal show day foods. As far as the last question, curbing cravings. So I would say at the end of the day, you have to realize like you are in prep and you're probably gonna have cravings, and like that's okay, that's part of it. Sometimes there's no way of like hacking the system, but like I showed you guys earlier, I think having foods and little like things like I showed you earlier, my little protein coffee drink, like having little things like that built in moderation that you thoroughly enjoy really helps with cravings. For me, sometimes if I find my cravings are really high, I try to limit how much like food porn I'm looking at. I think we're all guilty every once in a while of, you know, looking at all this food porn on Instagram or watching all these cooking shows, and I don't think that helps cravings at all. But I think it just comes down to kind of making your meals as unique as you can with what you're given, and you know, having things that you generally look forward to. That way, you know, even if it's just one thing a day, like my protein coffee that you like look forward to, that can be really helpful for just curbing your cravings. But I would limit the food porn intake and how much food porn you look at on Instagram, because I know sometimes I will fall down that rabbit hole, and that makes me crave things even more. So that's my tip for that. But that wraps up this little mini Q&A portion of the video. But as always, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, give this video a thumbs up. Tell me what you want to see in my next Prep Diaries series, as I have more information for you guys, as hopefully, like, you know, I get closer to show day, I'll share all that information with you guys. Still a little up in the air about when I'm gonna get on stage, but I'm thinking it'll probably could be around the end of May, could be in June. Like, that'll be when I start my season. Of course, I'm gonna do multiple shows, so we shall see. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope that wherever you guys are at in the world, that you have a great rest of your day.